Hello! It's that Christmassy time of year, and I thought I'd update you all on my workbench. My workbench is more or less complete, and it's the place of many models being created. You can see my 109 and a Hurricane there. I've got some ships up on the shelf above. I have all sorts of stuff around and about. My last build was a Harrier. And I'm going to be looking at putting together a diorama with 2 Tiger tanks, but I want to sort of experiment with building acrylic covers for it because my ships are all there, they've got very dusty, they're not very good. So I thought before I did any of that, I'd show you my workbench and show you what I do. Now first of all, this is Baby Bio, it's for all my plants. I have plants on the windowsill, I have plants over here, I have lots of greenery in my room with me. I even have a poinsettia that survived from last Christmas, so that's how it's grown. So, workbench. First of all, ignore the Dungeons and Dragons dice. They're just because I was playing Dungeons and Dragons with a friend of mine. And I'm currently repairing my glasses because they're broke, so I've got to wear these ones, which are my reading glasses. First things first, my hands. My hands are terribly cracked and they've got marks on them, and lots of it's because I work outside with the horses. So I use a very cheap hand cream. I do use a hand cream every day. I'm a computer programmer. I like my hands to be nice, and this is one of the things that does it. Now I end up with this horrible problem that I've got ingrained dirt because I've been grabbing things and pulling things at the horses. So there you go. Hand cream. This is just Aldi's cheapest thing. You can get any old one you want. My workbench then is roughly bifurcated by my paint. All my paints are inside this box. They are all roughly ordered by colour, and there's a few tapes and glues in there as well. There's some paint on rubber masking, and that's the bifurcation point. To the left of that is all dry stuff, to the right of that is all wet stuff. So wet stuff, what have we got? I have IPA, I have my airbrush thinner, airbrush cleaner. I've got caps that I put and mix paint in for my airbrush. I have got mixing jars. I can fill jars up. I've got several different jars that I can keep things in. Lids, all that kind of stuff. I've got microsol and microset, of course, within easy reach. All of these things are set in position. I also have simple white glue, IPA or PVA glue. So that's the right hand side, the wet side. What else have I? Oh, I actually have this to experiment with, which I've not looked at yet. So this is some AK Panzer Grey streaking. So it puts streaks on things, because I'm going to do Tiger Tank, so I've got that to experiment with. I've also got cocktail sticks and Plasto for filling, and I have my sanding stuff. Now, my main pack of tooling is a flat pack that you may or may not have ever seen before. It is literally an Amazon Basics mesh drawer organizer that's still in its box, because it works so well in its box. And in here I've got fine sandpapers, I've got sponges, I've got my micro drill sets, I've got sprue pieces, I've got extra decals, I've got little bits and bobs, I've got a few spare parts. At the bottom I've got some more things. I've got some general pieces, including my micro drill itself is here. These aren't, well, they're not the best earbuds or anything like that. They're actually really good swabs for the sticks themselves, little bamboo pieces. And I've got some elastic bands to hold things together. So that's my main piece of tooling. It sits over here out of the way most of the time. Airbrush is then the other main factor, so it's always here, always present. It's turned on, powered underneath. I have a magnifier, and this magnifier has a light on it. And this is really good use for me because obviously I'm blind as a bat. It's a bit dusty right now. I don't know why that is. I do know why it is, because I haven't dusted. There we go. Polly, put your kettle on. Sorry, there's banging going on. There's then brushes. I have a big set of used brushes. I have a selection of unused brushes in the corner. I have a pencil sharpener here, an electric pencil sharpener. I have my snippers in front of it, then my masking tapes, some easy access glues, my, my extra thin is right here. I have blades for my knives, and the knives I use, my scalpel is in the other room, so I actually have a scalpel, but my primary knife is actually this. I like the control I get with this, and I can keep a blunt knife as well, where you want to peel something easily, so you keep a blunt knife and you can use it, and it literally just comes apart really easily for that purpose. It's very safe when you shut it, of course, which is always important. So that's my knife. I have a sprue cutter. I have two sprue cutters, but this is the one I prefer because it springs open more easily. It's just a flat sprue cutter. It's no big deal. And that more or less counts off the dry side. So wet side, dry side. Then we've got upper. The upper section is things that are used a bit less often. So there's some basing glue, isopropyl, some more plastic containers, some more. This is my airbrush cleaning kit. So I have the little tiny brushes and pieces for the airbrush cleaning. I have some other bits and bobs up here, little bottles that I use to mix up in and then pour out with. I use these very rarely. This is if I'm making up a large thing. So if I'm making up a diorama of the ocean and I want the ocean to keep the colours, I'll mix 2 or 3 base colours I'm going to use again and again and again and keep touching things up. So that's always useful for that. There's also a sponge up there. There's some lighter fluid. I do have a lighter and I can put this all back now because I've spoiled the effect of it looking all neat. There we go. I do have a lighter. This is for stretching sprue. I've got a tea light and I'll stretch sprue over it to give me very fine wires, very fine effects. I had some rigging wire, some rigging, is it AKs? Rigging wire. Really not a fan. But I found 2 better things for it. First of all, my wife's hair. And second of all, the horse's hair. Works brilliantly. Horse hair, horse tail hair especially, very long tail hair. You get 1 or 2 and you brush them. I just pocket it, bring it, and I keep one. I haven't got any right now, but yeah, it's really good for rigging. It looks like really solid cable on a 1 to 700 scale waterline model. So very useful to have a horse. I'm sure there's some model makers out there that will cringe at me saying that in front of their wives or daughters especially, but yeah, I recommend having a horse for the hair. If I were business minded, I would probably sell packs of horsehair for model makers because it's really useful stuff. It's just so useful. And that brings me to the room itself, my room itself. So you can see these shelves. I have floating shelves here, I have floating shelves there. I've mentioned my plants. I have many plants around me, so my space is quite nice. This is also a space that I work in. I work as a computer programmer. So this side is leisure. This side that I'm actually recording from, this is work. This side has a very clean aesthetic. There's not a lot here. The walls are light green. This is a light green, you can see just here in the background. This is light green, and it contrasts with my work area, my pleasure area, which is dark green, just because I wanted to make the room bifurcated. There's artwork I can see when I'm working up there. There are more plants, more shelves, more bits and bobs all up over here. This is my domain, this side. This is my sort of spot. Obviously, it's one chair. I just spin around in it. And I have plenty of power. Well, I have power, but not plenty of power in this room. There are only 1 double socket in this whole room. And as a computer programmer, that's terrible. At some point, I need to have an electrician come in and put me a new spur in that comes down this wall and out underneath here. And that's the tour of my workspace, my model making workspace, my game working space as well. Now, my actual own PC is in a whole other room in there. So gaming, gameplay and programming all come from a different PC there. My actual Ryzen workstation lives in there. But in here, I do have a few PCs, a few bits and bobs under here that I use. And while I'm working, I will use the laptop on the right hand side here, and I'll set it up and visualize things. I will look at reference photographs. I will have a little folder, a little set of stuff I'm looking at. Maybe even references printed and stuck on here so I can just see them directly in front of me. And this is my faux spray backboard that I use when I am spraying. Ventilation wise, great big window right here, and you know, shut the door and spray. It's no big deal. I do have a mask when I want one, but so far it's actually really nice that I'm right by the window for it. So many people aren't, because the window gives you so much light. It gives me more light than this could ever hope. I do have an overhead light as well, which is directly above me. But yeah, that's my workspace area. Watch this space for more about my adventures learning how to build acrylic boxes. For now, in my model making videos, you won't see much. I'm busy with other stuff, but I do enjoy them. They are my little pleasure. And I think 2025 will see a few models be made. Let's say I did go to a certain discount supermarket, and I did empty their shelves of several Tiger Moths, several Tiger Tanks, a couple of Spitfires, because you can never resist a Spitfire. They didn't have a huge amount of stuff, and they were all starter kits. Now, this is why I'm putting the Tiger Tanks into a diorama. I got 2 of them. And what I plan to do is have a sort of North African style diorama. That's my ultimate aim. And I like North Africa. I spent some time in Morocco. I've spent some time in Egypt. I've sort of, especially Morocco, saw the style that I'm looking for. There's plenty of Tunis and Algeria based Africa core reference photos. I'm just trying to find the one that suits me, that I want to look at. But beyond that, I will see you all in the new year for model making. You will see plenty of programming over the next couple of weeks, I'm sure. Adieu.